the role of judiciary? First of all, you should know what is judiciary. Judiciary means courts, all the courts of the country, whether lower court, higher court, or any court comes under the role under the judiciary. Judiciary means law at courts, where the decisions are taken on number of issues, and in some cases punishments are also given. What court are take the decision that no teacher can beat a student? Very good topic for you. That no teacher will beat the student. Or about sharing of water between states, or they can punish a people for a particular crime. So on the basis of this, the work of the court can be divided, or the judiciary can be divided into three parts mainly: dispute resolution, judicial review, and upholding the law and enforcing fundamental rights. So three main functions or work of the judiciary is there. First is dispute resolution. That means whatever disputes is gone in front of them, they provide the mechanism how to settle the disputes between citizens and the government, between two governments, and between center and the state government. So on these things, the court devised a mechanism to resolve the conflict. If there is a conflict between Mr. Imran and Muhammad Rizwan, so the dispute has to be solved by the class teacher here in the school, or the principal will solve the dispute if the dispute is very high or very big. In the school, the Supreme Court is the court is the class teacher or the principal. The matter will go to them and they will decide who is wrong, who is right, whether Imran has done the wrong thing or some other boy has done the wrong thing. So he will devise a mechanism to resolve the dispute between both of them, so never again it cannot happen. So like that, court also devise a mechanism to solve the dispute between two people, between the government and the citizen, between two state governments, between the center and the state government. So all these matters are solved by the court, and that is known as the dispute resolution. This is the first function or the first work or first duty of the courts, any court. Second is judicial review. This is also very important function of the courts, especially the Supreme Court or High Court. Because as the final interpreter of the Constitution, because the Constitution maker gave the final rights or the main rights or make the interpreter of the Constitution to the court. The said court will be the final interpreter of the Constitution. So the judiciary has the power to strike down a particular law made by the Parliament if it believes that it is the violation of the Constitution or basic structure of the Constitution. This is known as judicial review. Suppose a government made a law passed by the Parliament, signed by the President, but if a public or anyone feels that this law is not according to the Constitution and it is violating the basic structure of the Constitution, it can go to the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court will look into the law and find out that it is according to the Constitution or not. And if find out that this law is violating the basic structure of the Constitution, it is not as Constitution says, He has the power to strike that law. He said, no, this law will not be applicable. You made the changes and made it according to the constitution. So the Supreme Court or the court has the power to strike down that law also made by the parliament, because constitution made him the highest authority of the constitution to apply or to implement constitution. So whatever laws are passed, the constitution looks into it. And if they find out that it is against the basic structure of the constitution, they can ask the government to take that law back or make the necessary changes in it according to the constitution, what the constitution says. So that's why Supreme Court is known as the final interpreter of the constitution. He has the rights to ask the government to change the law, or to he can strike down the law, saying that it is not according to the constitution, not following the constitution. It is one of the most important function of the courts, because they have to look after the constitution also. Then upholding the law and enforcing fundamental rights. Now, as you know, every citizen can approach court, any court, high court or Supreme Court, for fundamental rights. If your fundamental rights have been taken back or violated by the government or anyone, you can go to the court, to the High Court or Supreme Court directly and say that my fundamental rights are not given to me or they are taken back. Then the court or Supreme Court or High Court can ask the government or anyone who has violated your fundamental rights to give back you the fundamental right as soon as possible, because the fundamental rights are guaranteed rights in the Constitution. No one can take it at any cost. Only during emergency they can take it back, but as soon as the emergency ends, it has to be restored again. And if it's not restored, you can go to the Supreme Court or High Court asking for your fundamental rights. And if the court believes that your fundamental right has really taken, then you can ask the government or anyone who has taken your right to give you back as soon as possible. Now you read in seventh book a story of Hakim Sheikh in Bengal, who fell down from the train and got injured. His condition was worsened and he was taken to the hospital. Many hospitals refused to take him. Finally, he was admitted in one hospital and he went to the Supreme Court under the Article 21, that is right to life, and asking for the compensation from the government. Because Article 21 of the Constitution says right to life. You have the right to life, fundamental right. You should be taken care of. If you are injured or badly injured, you can be taken care of. No one can refuse you. Taken care of. And the court directed the West Bengal government to provide him the compensation for the loss he suffered, and also come up with a blueprint how this problem or primary health care should be given to the citizens of the public of the state. And all his treatment should be done. And how in emergencies, they like Hakim Sheikh was there, how the primary health care will be given to them. You come up with a plan and tell to the court what you will do, what you are doing to provide primary health services to the people who need in emergency. And that was a very, very famous case. It made an example in front of the state government that you have to provide the primary health care in time of emergency. No hospital can refuse admission of an injured person on any excuse or pretext that I will not take this, this is the problem, this is the problem. You cannot do that. So third function is upholding the law and fundamental rights and enforcing rights. These are the three main functions or main work or main thing which is taken care by the Supreme Court. And all these three are very important in our life. Now the question arises. That code can be influenced by the government. The government which is there at the center, he may be taking the advantage of that by influencing the judges that you give this in our favor judgment, forcing the judges to give them in their favor. So that thing, the constitution maker was also knowing that whatever government will be there, they can force the judge to give the decision in their favor. So for that, they said that judiciary will be independent. So our judiciary is independent judiciary, not influenced by anyone. Only the government appoints the judges. Now that also changed. Now it is a committee in which Prime Minister is there, Law Minister is there, Leader of the Opposition is there, and some judges are there of Supreme Court, senior judges. There is a collegium, which is known as collegium. So there is a collegium who decides who will be appointed judges to the Supreme Court. The government presents some name in front of the collegium, and that collegium decides. First of all, the judges themselves, the Supreme Court themselves says that these are the judges to be appointed. Then that collegium committee looks after into the name and find out who should be appointed to the court, Supreme Court as judges or High Court as judges. Then they are appointed. Once they are appointed, they cannot be removed. Once they are appointed, they cannot be removed because the judiciary is independent. They can only be removed if they have done very, 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 very serious crime. For that also, impeachment motion should be there in the Lok Sabha, in the Parliament, passed by two-third majority. When that impeachment motion will be passed by two-third majority, then only the judge can be removed. Otherwise, once appointed, he cannot be removed. So that he should be fearless in giving the judgment, whether it is against the government or anyone else, any powerful person of the country. Because they are knowing that if they will give the judgment against the government, no one can remove them. So that's why the constitution maker says that judiciary should be there, but it should be independent judiciary. No one can influence their judgment in their favor. Any powerful person is there, or maybe government is there, whatever is there, they cannot force the judge to give the judgment in favor, because the judge know that if I give the judgment against the government, no one will be removing me. I cannot be removed unless I retire or I resign or I have done a serious crime. Then only I will be removed, and that too by a very, very hard process. So that provision was done in the constitution so that judiciary should remain fearless. They can give the judgment without any fear, or they cannot take any favor from the government. Once appointed, they are free. Because the constitution maker was knowing that politician will be the powerful person. He can influence the judge. If judge not give the decision in their favor, they can remove them. So that's why they said the judiciary will be independent. Once they are appointed, they cannot be removed, whether they give the judgment in favor or not. So because they were knowing that politician will be having the hold on them, and they will not allow the judges to give the independent judgment or fair judgment. So that's why this independent judiciary provision was made. And that's why the constitution made the Supreme Court final interpreter of the constitution also, because they were knowing that they have the power, so they can remove those laws made by the government which is against the constitution without any fear. Then there is separation of power, a key feature of the constitution. So in the constitution they have given the separation of power: judiciary, legislature, executive. Legislature, executive, and judiciary. Parliament making the laws, executives implementing it, and court seeing it that they are according to the constitution or not. So separation of power is there. Legislature is separate, executives are separate, and judiciary is separate. That is known as separation of power. In 10th class you will read, or 9th class you will read separation of power. Legislature have their own functions, executive functions, then they have own laws and rules, and judiciary functions according to its own rules. All three are linked to each other and also independent to each other. They are free to take their own judgment on decision. No one can influence them. Neither legislature influence the executive, nor the executive influence the judges, nor judges influence the executive. They are linked together, but also they are independent. They do not act together. They act on their own. So they say that all judges of the High Court and Supreme Court was appointed with very little interference from other branches of government. Once appointed to the office, it is very difficult to remove a judge. Very, very hard process. It has to be passed by the parliament with two-third majority. And two-third majority will be there when opposition will be ready. And opposition will support the government when judge has done a very, very heinous or serious crime. Or is not just giving the judgment fairly, taking the money and giving the judgment. In that case only he can be removed, but very difficult process. So judge knows that whatever decision I will give, no one can remove me. So that's why the independence of judiciary that allows the court to play a crucial role in ensuring that there is no misuse of power by the legislature and the executive. We see that no misuse of power by the parliament or by the executives. It also plays a very crucial role in protecting the fundamental rights of citizens, because anyone can approach the court if they believe that their rights has been violated. Anyone can go. You can also go to the court that my parents are not allowing me this, or my teacher is beating me, in spite of your judgment. So you can go to the court. It is your fundamental right. You can go and take and ask the Supreme Court to take the action against the school or against the teacher or against the parents or against the government or against anyone. Because you have the fundamental right, which are the basic rights given by the Constitution, which has to be provided to you at any cost. And it cannot be taken back on any excuse. So that was the role of judiciary and independent judiciary. Now, structure of the courts in India. Next class we will read how many courts are there and what are their functions and how they work. What are the different legal systems, branches of legal system in the country, or everyone have access to the court or not? The big question is, do everyone have access to the courts or not? That is the biggest question. Because this is rule of law. All are equal in the eyes of the law. Equality is there. But if discrimination is done, do you have access to the court or not? Especially the poor people have the access to the court or not? That is the big question. Big question we laid. And there are some cases also. One case is also discussed here, which is very important, which tells you how the judiciary works and what are the different branches of legal system. Two branches are there: criminal and civil. Criminal law and civil law. Two laws are there.
Civil means, sir, civil means.
Civil means we will discuss when we will discuss civil. We will discuss everything. What is civil? What is criminal? So don't be in a hurry. Be slow. Understand it because very important. It is will be 9, 10 also. So we be very important, very attentive and understand each and everything because they are very important chapters which will help you in life also when you will grow and become a
Sir, we can become a lawyer.
become an officer or someone else, you will know, should know what the laws are there, what your rights you are having. Because half of the population in India doesn't know that what rights they are having. That's why
Yes.
everyone, any government comes and takes your advantage because you are not knowing what your rights are. So many rights you are having under the constitution where you can control the government yourself. You cannot allow the government to go free. Whatever they do, they can do. So how about the poor? Because of illiteracy or because not studying or not properly knowing the knowledge, having the knowledge, they doesn't know what rights they are having, how powerful they are, the citizen of the country, how powerful they are. So this is about the independent judiciary and role of the judiciary. Revise it at your home. Next class. Today is the next class or tomorrow? Tomorrow is the next
Tomorrow
class.
same
Sir, no, sir.
second period.
Again, there is one next class. Again, there is one class. Social science.
There only one class today only.
Tomorrow two classes, first two classes.
Tomorrow two classes. Today is one class.
Today is one only.
Today.
No, today one only. Today seven two classes are.
Sir, tomorrow first and second class.
Very good. Tomorrow, inshallah. I will show you the paper also. No problem.
Sir, question answers tomorrow?
No, not tomorrow.
Oh.
It will take time. Tomorrow I will ask the questions to you. Don't be in a hurry. We will go slow. Why should you go hurry? Many times, so much time is there. Otherwise, I have to add one or two chapters more in the syllabus.
Sir, time
Sir,
is
1
now 1
minute
minute.
left. Sir, 1 minute left.
Okay. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. And that
Sir, meeting should be ended.
understanding the laws question answer may be coming tomorrow today. Inshallah, I will try because now I am not free up to 140. Regular classes are there now. After 10 minutes, again another class. After 10 minutes, another class. Again, after 10 minutes, another class. Then after half an hour, another class. So up to 145, I will not be free. So I will say that judicial that understanding.